Spark coin just flew over 300% in the last 48 hours. And if you're like me, you probably never heard of it. So let's jump into Spark coin, what happened and why. I'm Brett at CryptoGX, and today we're looking at Spark coin, the random coin that is just flying right now. And we're gonna look at what's happening, why, what's going into this, where we think it might go. So let's just jump right in. So I've got this page that I check daily. It is the CoinMarketCap trending cryptocurrencies. And I also check CoinGecko because sometimes they're a little bit different. You can see Spark is number 2 here on CoinGecko and also number 2 here on CoinMarketCap. I think there's probably some others, but these are the 2 that I check. Now I saw Spark yesterday going up about 200% or 100%, somewhere in that realm. And I started doing research for this video and I was like, okay, this is pretty great. Let's look into this. Well, come to find out, I kind of, put it off a little bit and it went up even further. It doubled since yesterday. Yesterday it was at about 8 cents per coin. Now we're above 17 cents per coin. Now, if we go over the coin's kind of background here, it is a Ethereum based contract. You can find it on Etherscan. You can see that they've got their Twitter, they've got a Reddit, they've got a GitHub and a Facebook, all great signs of big projects. We can even go to their website, white paper, and it looks like a platform for staking and liquidity just right off the bat. They've also got an airdrop, which is live. So you can claim some SPK because of that airdrop. You got to check your eligibility and all that good stuff here. But let's go back to the CoinMarketCap site and we'll check out the news section here. Now, I already went through all this, but this is just a great thing to know. If you're seeing new coins popping, check out the news section, see what they have going on. This one's a little bit tough because it's called Spark, and Spark is a word that people use often in news titles. Spark's a new altcoin pump. I saw that right here. NFT market source 22% as blue chip collections spark new trading frenzy. They're using AI to put that word into this particular news section. So unfortunately, this isn't super reliable, but I found an article that we can take a look at. So we've got this one on beincrypto.com. I like using this site here and there for different news articles and finding out what's going on. And this is a really good synopsis of what's going on after reading through this. Spark surged 100% in the past week, driven by anticipation for the second phase of its ignition airdrop. So as we saw on their website right here, you can see that they have their airdrop is live right now. You can also see back on this article, their market cap grew from 30 million to 62 million, with trading volume rising by 400% to 486 million. If we go back, I'm assuming our market cap is way bigger than that right now. Market cap 181 million. So they caught this before the big run. This is the article I saw yesterday, July 22nd. Today's July 23rd. That was when it was kind of on the lower end. I mean, they said it went from 30 million to 62 million, and now we're at 181 million. So keeping your eye on being crypto is a good way to stay ahead of the game when it comes to the coins that are popping. So if you take a look at that every single morning, you could have seen this particular article. Price doubles this week. How the airdrop phase 2 is driving the price rally. So what you can take from this is that in this particular instance, it shot up even further. So let's find out what was going on, why it shot up even further, and how we can catch these things next time and where potentially Spark's going to be going. The last thing I'll mention here is that their TVL, or total value locked, is an all-time high of 8.15 billion, showcasing increasing demand. So they're having a lot of users their platform and people basically putting money into their coin and their liquidity pools and things like that. So one thing we got to look at is momentum and volume. So if we take a look at this article from CryptoDNES.bg, they pointed out Spark down here. At the time, they showed Spark going up 64% in 24 hours, pushing weekly gains to 125%. Now, the thing that they noted here is that trading volume surged by 300% to 594 million. And this is coming at a time when the crypto market as a whole was having a slight pullback, nothing crazy, but everything wasn't mooning all at once. And they even put the next level to watch is 0.075 and holding above 0.068. Obviously, we're much further beyond that now. So volume, as I mentioned, is a great indicator, especially when you see it in these news articles. And if we go back to this chart, we can see, let's go to the 7-day. If we go to right before this pump, let's pull up the volume a little bit more. We'll use the candle chart because it looks a little easier for demonstration purposes. You can see through this flat period, the volumes before it was even lower, but the previous few days, it was all about 150 million, 80 million to 150 million, which is a big swing back and forth. But then boom, this quick spark went from 165, 188, 230, 396, and then over 400. All this volume right here, right at the tail end of, or beginning of the 21st, was really what sparked that particular movement. And then you could see it just kept flowing through 500, 600, 800, 1 billion, 1.3 billion, 1.5, 1.6, 2.4. Now we're up to to 2.79 billion. It was just a massive, massive influx of cash. Now, what are some of the things that caused this? Okay, well, the underlying issues are my favorite, but let's start with some of the technical breakouts and things that went on there. So we looked at the volume here, and one of the things that I saw yesterday was a particular tweet that said that it had a technical breakout above 0.0615 Fibonacci resistance with RSI like 91 in 7 days. Essentially, Fibonacci retracements are indicators of potential lines of resistance and support. Not super important that you know that, but there was kind of a technical breakout that people noticed at the time. And you can generally see it here. If we go to the trading view chart here, the main thing that you can see, that's really important when it comes to those kind of technical indicators. Yes, we can look at RSI, but this was the top right here. This was what you would call the line of resistance. And when you come down to the 21st at about 1 p.m., depending on what time zone they're looking at, this is when it broke above that particular line of resistance, that point of resistance that it pulled back from before. And that was where you could watch and be like, okay, is it going to still go up? It broke out pretty significantly from this point. It had a big red candle right after, and then it had another green. This was probably a solid point to be like, okay, I'm going to get in because of the fact, okay, it pulled back. That would be, no, I'm worried. Is it going to go back the other way? It didn't break out that far. It pulled back a little bit, and then the green went up even higher than the previous, a higher high, higher volume. That's your indication to get in. And then the next candle, boom, it rocketed up. We found some resistance, it goes down slowly and slowly up and up and up and up and so on and so forth, breaking through more and more resistance, likely because of this breakout causing some interest, causing some analysis, causing some people to look into the ecosystem and what's going on. And so the pump continued because, in my opinion, the underlying ecosystem. So let's take a look at that. So one of the main things is that Wallet of Satoshi partnered with Spark to offer self-custodial Bitcoin Lightning experience. Now, what does that mean? That sounds entirely confusing. Well, luckily I talked with Google AI to help understand. Generally, I kind of got a gist of what they were saying. They're integrating the wallet with the SPK ecosystem, but what are they integrating is what I was curious about. So there's other information here, but determining what they're actually doing within the ecosystem is a little bit tricky. And essentially what they're doing is Spark is putting their code within the wallet to help the wallet access Lightning, which is a platform for Bitcoin that helps make the transactions faster. And it allows the wallet to access this speed for Bitcoin transactions. And the way that they do it, they say right here, is with less coding and requires just 6 lines of code. And if you're not sure what self-custodial means, since that's the type of platform that the Wallet of Satoshi is, it just means that you own your own assets on your wallet, kind of like a MetaMask or anything like that. It is an online wallet or a hot wallet, but you own your own wallet, you own your keys, and essentially, it's not on an exchange like a Coinbase or a crypto.com. This integration is really key for giving some weight to what Spark is doing. Now, if you don't particularly think that is something too noteworthy, doesn't strike you in any particular way, well, the important thing is that it is striking other people in an important way because this actually was announced on NASDAQ.com, which is a huge site for lots and lots of investors. Having this sort of media coverage is fantastic for Spark, and in general, it was framed as a breakthrough for usability of Lightning within Bitcoin, which Lightning is obviously a big deal, making Bitcoin faster and better and all that good stuff. Now, in general, going back to Spark as a whole, them launching their Spark token was helpful for their what they call DeFi infrastructure or decentralized finance infrastructure. They announced their own coin to take a step towards full decentralization and having community governance with this coin, governance with a DAO for this particular token and this particular platform, so that people who own the token can have a say in what goes on, which is a fantastic thing when it comes to platforms and tokens. People that want to get behind it, they want to have a say, they want to have voting power, they want things to be more decentralized, and that's what it's all about when it comes to DeFi. Now, another thing that makes this coin very valuable is the airdrop. Airdrops are significant for anybody trying to get into a coin that wants to get into a coin that's going to go up, get into one that's about to announce an airdrop. So if we go back to the Spark website, you can see on their Twitter, they first announced the airdrop June 14th. It's going to be soon claimable. Check your eligibility. The second phase, the airdrop. So basically they announced the first phase and a second phase. Now, why are airdrops important? So essentially an airdrop is when you own a particular token, SPK for instance, and they just want to help their community. They want to spark some interest. They're going to send anyone who owns that token some more of that token or some other token or some NFTs. They're going to airdrop you some new token, whether it be the same one, a different one, whatever that may be. And if it's a big project, that airdrop is worth something. You know, they're basically giving you a dividend. And if you're not familiar with a dividend is, certain stocks like Coca-Cola will issue dividends every year. You own the stock, you get a percentage of their earnings every year. And leading up to a dividend, stocks become more valuable because they have to factor in that estimated dividend. So let's say you're going to get $50 from their dividend and your stock costs $100. Well, then leading up to that dividend, the stock price should be around $150 because you're going to get that value out of it. So somebody doesn't want to sell it for $100 when they could make an extra $50 just by holding onto their stock. So that similar thing happens with airdrops. You don't know what the airdrop's going to be. Typically, you don't really know exactly what the dividend payout's going to be exactly, but you can estimate it based on estimated earnings. Airdrops are even more unknown. You have no idea what the value is going to be. Sometimes they'll tell you how many tokens you get per token that you hold, things like that. But most of the time it's just a hype indicator because you're going to get something. And so it brings the value up. And so we've got the Ignition airdrop live right now, and Overdrive coming later on, supposedly, learning about that. So this second airdrop is coming and people are very hyped about it. It's driving the price up even further. Now, how do we understand to get into this before? Like, how would I have known yesterday to put in money to Spark to catch this second doubling of their price? Well, a few of the things that we've gone over are very, very indicative of this. So yesterday, number one, I always look at Google Trends of cryptocurrency, and then I go down to related queries. SPK crypto right now is at the number 13. It was at number 1 for Google searches. That's what tipped me off. As well as the trending coins. It was in this top section. I think it was number 1 yesterday. That's a great place to start. Next was seeing this partnership. That was a huge deal. Lightning is huge. You got to understand a little bit about the market and know that the Lightning experience on Bitcoin is a massive deal. Anything relating to Bitcoin is going to be huge because Bitcoin is huge right now. Next, that particular announcement also being on NASDAQ.com. NASDAQ is a huge media outlet to tons and tons of investors. So that's going to get a lot more eyes on it, whether it be retail or institutional. Probably not so much institutional since institutional moves slowly, but anything on NASDAQ is going to put a lot of retail eyes on a particular coin. Then we got to look at the actual volume of what's going on. Yesterday, I probably saw it at about 8 a.m. So probably about here when it was about 7 cents, maybe right before. It was after this initial pump and then probably in the middle of this second pump right here and before this kind of third wave. And, seeing that, understanding, okay, well, what's going to happen next? Then you got to really factor in, okay, first pump, we saw the double in volume to 300, 400 million. Then I was probably here at about 800 million. That had already doubled. What was going to happen next? Well, I think that personally, the NASDAQ was the biggest indicator of all, as well as knowing that there is an upcoming airdrop. If there was not an upcoming airdrop, see the Ignition airdrop is going right now. The Overdrive airdrop is next. I think that's what pushes it over the edge for me, in my opinion. This announcement being on something like NASDAQ and there being a second airdrop coming is what says, okay, this has more room to grow. Now, you can probably get into lots more technical indicators if you pull up TradingView and put in, all sorts of, like I said, indicators. But if we're just talking from underlying causes, I think those are the big ones. We don't know when exactly this airdrop is going to be, the next one, but the fact that it's still out there, the fact that Ignition airdrop is still live means that there's lots of time for interest to continue to spark. All this to say, I think that the last thing that you really need to consider, or the most important thing that we should consider moving forward, is that the Ignition airdrop is live. The Overdrive airdrop is coming. We've got a Bitcoin Lightning integration with a big name that has been announced on NASDAQ, which is a huge media outlet that's got a ton of eyes on it. We've seen increasing volume from about 150 million, 200 million, doubling falling to 400, and now all the way up near 3 billion in volume. I think a light pullback makes sense, at least, but there's probably at least a little bit of room to go based on the fact that there is another airdrop. Now, this person right here is saying the top might be in, expect to see a 10 to 15% correction. Okay, that's fine. I could see that too. This has ran up 400% in 7 days. That could very well be it. I wouldn't get in now on this one, but knowing those factors for the next double, the next coin that goes up 100% and is on the trending, okay, now we know these are the things to look out for the next one, and we can be ready to jump in or not, depending on how strong it looks. But this one very clearly was looking strong. So I hope you learned something. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Are you going to get SPK? Are you not? Anything like that. But thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in getting into crypto, I'll leave links to Coinbase and crypto.com where you'll get at least $50 of free crypto for signing up. If you're into meme coins, I'll leave a link to MoonShot where you'll get some free meme coins. Just sign up and click claim meme coins and you'll be all set. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.